Morning everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to a very interesting new video on the channel. I'm actually in Yekaterinburg today, and I'm going to take you on a walk around of their metro system. Now it's only 9 stations, so it's not very long. The video might be a little bit long though. I'm actually just leaving my accommodation now, and literally, as soon as the elevator gets here, I'm going to walk over to the actual first station. It's about a 5-minute walk, and we're going to go for an interesting tour of each of the 9 stations on the Yekaterinburg Metro line. So I hope you find this interesting. Now, what I'd suggest is it might be a little bit long because I'm just not sure how many parts of each station I'm going to show. So maybe get yourself a cup of tea, maybe a biscuit, sit down and relax and enjoy this train journey with me. Literally from here, we're going to end up outside the first station. It's very bright this morning, and off we go. What I'll try and do is give you a little bit of very basic information about each station, and the limited knowledge that I have of this city, I'll point out perhaps some of the features inside the station on the platform. And the first station is actually essentially the last station, depending on where you get on, and this is Botanicheskaya Metro station. Now, if I get the names a little bit wrong, I'm sorry. However, I'm doing my best. And I'm actually staying about 5 minutes walk from here, so it's really actually handy to get on here and make the trip, the 9 stations. Across the road, they are building a very large shopping center. I think it's still going to be quite a while away from finishing. And then you'll see in the background all of the residential housing. And then literally right here, there's a Khrushchevka, or very famous 5-story panel building, and then behind lots of different size and shapes of buildings and in different periods that they were built. This is very early in the morning, it's just after 7 a.m. so you can see the long shadows of the sun. Also a little bit cool this morning, it's only 9 Celsius. They actually have a do's and don'ts here on the doorway, and no ice creams and no pets. I'm pretty sure people still take their pets on the metro, and no smoking 15 meters from the building, and that's pretty well adhered to in the metro in most places. Let's head on inside. Now I'm hoping the video comes out nice and we get a bit of an idea of what it feels like riding the metro here. And of course I'm in the morning, so lots of people are commuting to and from work. The interesting thing that I noted is that the ridership of the metro here is only about 120,000 people per day. However, the population of Yekaterinburg is about 1.5 million. So that's still a fair percentage of the population who's riding it per day. For anybody wondering about accessibility, they do actually have an elevator from the street level down to the entranceway, and then the very famous steep ramps if you have prams or whatever device you want to use. But they do have elevators, which is nice. If you are wondering, I do actually have short sleeves on today, but pretty much all of the video will be underground, which it's actually quite warm and nice in metros. And I came to make this video particularly. Then I'm going to head on back to my accommodation to arrange the rest of my day. I have actually been riding the metro the last 2 days that I've been here, and I noticed there's some photographs on the walls in the stations. And I wonder if perhaps this photo is the local area where I'm staying. I didn't notice this building. However, the name of the station is named in honor of the nearby botanical gardens. So perhaps that might be the gardens themselves. as perhaps one of the local buses turned up, or trams, and everybody is coming in ahead of me here. One thing that is quite different from the Moscow Metro to here in Yekaterinburg is when you first come inside the station, they've actually got a bag check, which everybody obviously politely puts their bags in the machine, then walks on through. And I think there isn't really the tourist like me who isn't aware what's going on. And then they've got the gates right here. So most people are using a card or even their own bank card to pay, and essentially tap and go, and the gates open. There is actually also a ticket booth if you want to pay for tickets or perhaps monthly cards. I would imagine it's very much the same as the Moscow Metro, and very easy. I'm actually going to use my bank card today, which is just very simple, and it just debits my card for the ride. Of course, being the morning, it is a little bit busy. Now, compared to Moscow, it's very quiet or quite timid. However, people really do know what to do. They're literally getting their bags, going straight through the machine, going straight through the gates and heading on down to the train. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I just have to tap my card like that, and literally within seconds, it detects that I paid. It debits my card, and we can head on down. Now, a lot of the stations aren't particularly deep on the metro here, so we can walk a few flights of stairs, and we're here at the first platform. Now, being that it's the first or last station, there is no boarding on the opposite side, and then we've got 9 stations ahead of us. Check that out, the nice green and yellow sign, and we all need to head to the right to get on the train right here. Now there's quite a few people running because they're trying to get on the one that's waiting to board, and there's quite a bit of a rush knowing that the next one might be a couple of minutes away. And the train leaves the station and off it goes. We will see quite a few coming and going during the video. And Botanicheskaya station is quite interesting. Can you see the pattern of the sign on the wall? Now, if I spin around, you'll actually see on the ceiling here all of the same shapes. And this is meant to represent honeycomb from bees. And that references back to the actual botanic garden in the area. And I wonder how many people get on and off the train every day and look up and see the ceiling like this, that it represents the bees in the area. And even on the pylons, you can see the same shape as well. And then this yellow and white light that looks like some honeycomb. Who likes honey for breakfast? Let me know in the comments. Of course, while I'm filming, lots of people are going to turn around and look and stare at the camera. Perhaps I'm the only one speaking English today. Everybody's a little bit sleepy and heading off to work in the early morning. So if you see some people in the background looking and wondering what's going on, so I'm trying to make a nice video of the Yekaterinburg Metro system. The opposite exit at this station also just points out some of the places nearby. And the Dinamo shopping center is right here, very famous in this region. It's a very big rynek, and I'm going to actually have a video on the channel. You might be watching it before or after this video, and it's a super interesting place that you can go shopping, and a very traditional, original, Soviet-looking building as the next train gets ready to leave. This one isn't quite as crowded as the previous one, and people aren't particularly running and squeezing in there. But have a look at the honeycomb on the ceiling one more time. It's super cool, and quite a few subscribers to my channel and my Telegram said I had to come and ride the metro system here and make a video for you. So here I am. I'm fairly sure that I'll now catch this next train right here. So this is the last station. It goes to the turnaround point. It'll leave the platform and then come back on the opposite side. And everybody heading off to work, heading off to school, and going about their day. You can see everybody wearing jackets now. It's a little bit cooler today, and everybody's preparing for winter. Maybe it's the first few days for most people wearing jackets, I think. Of course, in the morning, the trains will naturally be a little bit busier, and I'm going to be super polite and jump on. Now I know we've got a minute or so until it leaves, and there is nobody running just yet. Let's have a look on the other side. There's nobody running. I always like to see this. I know it's not fun where people miss it and have to wait a minute or two. But let's go on board and get ready. Now we're only going to ride one station, so we're not going too far. And we're going to check out the next station. Good morning, ladies. Доброе утро.
Доброе.
And
Какая передача?
Нет пенёлай по-русски. Маленький. И Australia, Englishki.
English.
The,
Okay.
so these are all paid actors, by the way, from Mosfilm. I brought them here specially. These are not normal people riding the train. We're off. Oh.
Следующая станция Chkalovskaya.
Chkalovskaya, the next station, as we head on off. All right, let's head on off. Bye. До свидания. All right, so we're here at the next station. Everybody getting on and off as I did. And beautiful ladies who were so kind just there. And there was also a gentleman with a daughter as well. And let's explore this station as the train heads on off. Will we get anybody waving? I don't think so. The train leaves and we'll walk around for a minute or two and check it out. The thing when I'm making videos in the metro or on public transport, it's obviously real life and everybody's going to or from somewhere, and there is a sense of urgency to get on and off the trains, as you can see, and I'm just trying to work my way around everybody to not get in their way, because I'm just here on a holiday making a video and trying to enjoy the metro system. Perhaps when you live somewhere you don't take it in, the beauty of it, so this video is for everybody who maybe doesn't look around too much when they're riding the trains. This is the scheme of the metro and all the stations. And we're here at Chkalovskaya station right now. This is where I literally got off the train. And it was only a few minutes between trips. Now, if maybe some of the design and architecture might look familiar, it's meant to represent Chkalov, who was a pilot who made a trip from Russia to Canada and America. And the actual metalwork is meant to look like a fuselage of an aeroplane. And the metal and the pop rivets are meant to represent an airplane that flew quite a long way from Russia. Can anybody see that in the design? It's quite different from the previous station, of course. And the look of the station. Now, you'll see on this side, of course, this would go to the last station. Only one person waiting to ride it. And naturally, everybody is heading on into the city or somewhere in the opposite direction. Now, what I'll show you, which is quite interesting, which you don't see on the metro in Moscow, is they let you know where the actual doors will be and where the boarding and unboarding is going to take place. And it suggests that you stand off to the side where the arrows are, and everyone will get on and off right here, which that's awfully good measuring from the driver, that he actually knows where to stop right on the mark as the next train turns up. Now, I would imagine not many people are going to get off. However, did it land right on the spot? I think it did. Right there. And everybody goes about their day. And we'll stay here and check out some other features. One of the features of this station is these clocks right here hanging on the wall. And they represent some of the places that Chkalov actually flew. So there's actually a clock here with Moscow time, Uralskaya, which I always get wrong. Then there is Vancouver and San Francisco. And how neat is that they've got these world clocks on the wall? If I got the names wrong, or at least the Russian name wrong, I apologize. Also on the side walls of the platform are some photographs of some pilots and heroes of Russia that represent aviation here in Russia itself. As we come on this side, the train is just approaching. And then also these advertising signs are meant to look like the windows of an aeroplane, if you can see that, as the train approaches. Very cool. I hope everybody's enjoying this just as much as I am. As everybody looks around and stares at me. No worries at all. I just noticed also on the ceiling there is the URSS, and I think perhaps this is in reference to a certain plane, and then NO25. If anybody knows more, let me know. And if you look at the lights, can you see the curve where the lights are recessed? That's meant to represent an aeroplane wing. That's super interesting and cool to see all these tiny features as you walk around the platform. Okay, I'm going to try and get on this train right here. And again, we're just going to ride at one station. Let's squeeze on with everybody. And of course, as we go each additional station, the train gets slightly busier. And the fact that we're in the early morning time, lots of people heading off to work, of course. Let's head on out the next station and let's try and get out of everybody's way, and we'll have a walk around and discover the next station here on the Yekaterinburg Metro line. Well, very neat. Also far, there's a couple of unique features that we can show and point out. Let's have a look together. This station is called Geologicheskaya. Again, I do apologize for getting the word wrong. And the reference is about geology and the fact that a lot of the stone and panels that you see are from the nearby Ural Mountains, and also the fact that there was the administration here that had a lot of very famous geologists from Russia that worked in this area. And what's very interesting is there is a plan to make additional lines on the metro here, and this is meant to be the underpass to go to a connecting station. However, it's not built, but they did future-proof the platform a little bit to give the option to open at some point in the near future or far future. I'm not sure. Perhaps locals can tell me what they think of possibly new lines opening in this area. I was trying to find information about how deep the stations are, but there is very little information. However, this station claims to be the deepest, if that's the right thing to explain. And have a look how ornate the exit is to go outside to the street. And actually this particular station is almost underneath a shopping center called Greenwich Shopping Center, and that's why they've got all the flashing lights and neon. It looks like you're just about to enter a shopping center rather than actually go out to the street. So this marble work and then the pillars Very interesting. The other thing to note with this station is there's no pylons in the middle part of the station. It's called a single vaulted station. So there is essentially no joins or no columns holding up the roof, and it's one entire structure. Now I know what I'm talking about, but I just don't know how to explain it, if that makes sense, as the next train arrives and everybody goes about their day. It's literally like everyone is doing it without thinking. They know which way to walk. Everybody probably not so excited to go to work and school today, but it's a part of life, I think, for everybody, and me included. And a few people coming down to get the next train on the opposite side. Let's just swing around and have a look how many people are still on the platform. And I do find this interesting with these stickers, because they definitely don't have this in Moscow. And they do have it on some of the suburban trains, but definitely not on the metro. I think it's a great idea, really, because it gives people a bit of a heads up about where to stand and to prepare themselves for when the train arrives. The other reference here on the walls is these different stone plaques which talk about the actual ground underneath the station and the different geology of the ground here, and the fact that it was very complicated to build the metro in this city because of the terrain underneath the city and how hard it is to dig because of the amount of stone and different rocks, if you call it that. Let's wait for the next train to arrive and we can head on off. I am trying to make each station stop brief, so it's not a long video, but it's not much we can do, really. I want to point it out, all the just little features of each station. In the Moscow Metro, it's the same way. Every station has a few unique features, so it's worth showing here in the video. All right, we've reached the next station, and completely different look to the platform as we let everybody head on by, and we'll try to swing around, have a look at the difference between one station and the next, and these really nice lamps and this curved ceiling. Very nice. Welcome to the 4th station or 6th station, however you look at it. Ploshchad 1905 Goda, which is in reference to the immediate square above the platform and the events of 1905 in Russia. What a very nice station. There is such a contrast between stations, and this is the same in the Moscow Metro as well. And this has the 3 different sections, both sides where the trains are, and then this middle section with the pylons on either side. And the actual stone that they are using is from a few different regions. From Karelia is one of the places where they get the stone from, as well as, of course, a lot of it from the Urals. Again, another train pulls up. They run about every 2 minutes, perhaps 3 minutes, depending on the time of day. So in between takes, of course, lots of trains are going to come and go. And naturally, more people getting off closer to the center of the city here than at the outlying stations. On the walls of the platform, there are also some mosaics as well. Now, they're quite large compared to a lot of traditional mosaics with small tiles. And these are made in the Florentine look. I'm not particularly architecturally minded, but if you can see that in the mosaics, there's quite a few of them along the platform. And I think as you're waiting for your train, you can look at them and try to figure out what the artist was going for. in this style. There is also a contrast between the white walls and then this darker red Karelian stone, if you can see that. And then these chandeliers as well. One of the things that I read was recently they changed the light bulbs to energy-saving light bulbs. So I wonder for how many years they had normal light bulbs and now they've got better energy-saving capabilities. They're very big bulbs, by the way. I know I'm pointing out very small features, but it is something that makes up each of the different stations on the Yekaterinburg Metro line. One thing that's very evident when you're on the metro here and you've come from Moscow like myself is in between trains, there really isn't many people about. Literally the train arrives and everybody scoots off up the escalators or steps. And right now I'm about maybe a minute or so from the next train arriving and there's very few people here. Now we are pretty much in the center of the city here, so a lot of people are coming to the city or going away from the city when they go home tonight. But there's very few people waiting for the next train, whereas at the very first station, there was people constantly coming to get on the train. As we can just hear the next train coming now. But of course, the population of the city is considerably less than Moscow, and that's why you don't see as many people riding the metro because of the population. As this train arrives, we're going to jump on and go on to the next station. Let's go. We'll let everybody get off. Polite thing to do is to stand to the side and then let's go. And you can see now the fact that we're essentially heading away from the city. The train's a little bit less full and a little bit more comfortable to wait to ride to the next station. Welcome everybody to Dinamo station. And of course in Moscow there is also Dinamo station. And this station I think is the brightest and widest and tallest station of all of them that we're going to ride today. And again, no pylons or columns, just very simple single vaulted station. And really interesting benches. I didn't point them out at the other station. However, pretty much at every metro station, they've got a slightly different design of even the seats. How neat is this? It just feels so spacious and almost it's echoing as I'm talking. Very cool. Each station here is actually named in honor of the Dinamo sports ground, which is literally by the station. Very typically, the metros in Russia are named after the immediate area, or perhaps somebody who's from the immediate area, or worked here, or did something quite famous. And Dinamo Stadium is reasonably close above us if you were to come out of the station. There is a very big sculpture at one end of the station, and it represents the different sporting events that take place nearby and the discus thrower. And I think this maybe goes back to Greek times, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure why he doesn't wear any clothes when he's doing the discus. If someone can let me know. You'd think he'd be putting some clothes on. All the guys here in the column are well dressed. But this discus guy, maybe it's a certain look that he was going for. I'm not sure. Have a look from this end now. Wow, when I'm talking, it's really echoey. Very spacious station. One of the things with all of the stations that you ride on the metro throughout Russia is the amount of stone and granite that they use. And it's really just phenomenal, the amount of work it would have took to get this stone down here and even to mine it and produce it for the metro itself. You can see the different colors here, this red Karelian granite, and then this white and marble looking granite on the walls. My notes also that I've got for this station talk about the lamps right here. And recently, as of a couple of years ago, they changed the bulbs in this station as well to a different format of bulb. Now, I don't really see any difference. It's meant to be the first, fifth, and sixth column has a different type of lamp in it. I don't notice a difference. Maybe somebody can see that. I'm not too sure. And then up on the ceiling, they've also got recessed lighting in the panels. And I think that's just how bright it is. It really is such a difference from the previous few stations to this one. You can see now as this train comes from the other end of the line how full it is, because people again are going to the center. Slowly now we'll head away from the center of the city as the next train leaves. There it goes. Looks like we're going to ride the first train with designs on the outside as well. And inside, of course, they all look the same. And they've got this bell ringing, letting us know we're heading to the next station. So we'll relax for a few minutes and head on off. There is actually a proposed metro for Yekaterinburg, and there's meant to be 2 additional lines that they'll open. However, maybe taking a few years to get to that point. As we let my train leave, it looks like the actual train is branded around spaceflight, which is very interesting. And this station we're at is called Uralskaya. And the next few stations actually have a little bit of a reference of the Urals, which is where we are, of course. They do have some very interesting lamps on the side of the wall right here. Again, they all differ just slightly. And then this covered walkway out to the main part of the platform. Have a look at these metal chandeliers, which are really very different. Don't you just love how each station is so different and so varied? And the architects of the stations really wanted everyone to look different from the previous one. There was almost a competition amongst the designers to create a beautiful look to the station. And then have a look at the different colors of marble on the floor here as well. And these are from different mineral deposits in the area. Now, I can't actually say the names of them because they're very interesting names in Russian, and I don't want to butcher them too much. But each of the different colors of the stone come from different deposits nearby. As we can hear the next train arriving, I really would have to be very quick to make each segment to not get the sound of the trains coming and going. It's very evident. And I think we'll just walk through the middle here. One of the unique features of this station, it's actually the deepest on the Yekaterinburg Metro line. 42 meters deep. Now, I thought that one of the city ones was deeper, but I stand corrected. And it's one of the main proud features of this station. Again, the loud sound as the train goes through the tunnel. It really resonates through you. And I think if you ride the metro enough, you block that sound out. But if you're coming on a train for the first time, it's really almost deafening to some people. You can see here these different pylons with the granite stone and the different colored stone that they've used from different mines around the area. There is just stonework everywhere, and that's definitely unique when you walk through. And again, not too many people. I think the way it looks is most people ride from either end and end up in the city. There is also a very extensive bus and trolley bus and tram network here in the city. So perhaps the ridership of the metro isn't as much as it would be in Moscow. I think purely because the distance the metro travels isn't as far as it is in other cities. And we're going to head off now to the next station, Mashinostroiteley. I've definitely got that wrong. I'm very sorry. Welcome to the station Mashinostroiteley. Now again, I know I've got it wrong. I'm doing my best to listen to the pronunciation and get it right. But the first few letters, mash, are in reference to workshops or machine shops that were in the nearby area. And you can see also some interesting metal work on the roof as well, which also is in reference to some of the nearby companies that were around a lot of years ago, and they're made from polished stainless steel. And I can't really explain the reference of this, but it's meant to be 3 pieces of metal intersecting into the middle here. If you can perhaps see that, it makes a little bit of sense. And then what's super interesting is the platform itself is with the 3 individual areas. You'll see the columns again, and then the tracks on either side. And there's this long, narrow tunnel which leads to the furthest exit. And this is the reference of the station here, the Kalin Machine Building Plant, and Turbinaya Street as well. So there was a lot of manufacturing and building that went on. How is this tunnel? It does feel between trains that I'm the only person here. Of course, there's a few people getting on and off, and the train just arrived, so lots of people are going to walk past me now to go to the exit. But this long tunnel is very different from the main platform itself, and we'll see a few people walking through there. Most people went to the other exit. How neat is this? So much work goes into building metro stations, and particularly underground like this, right? I mean, the amount of work that took place and the amount of people that were here building it as well. And again, have a look at all of this granite and stone and the different types of granite that they've used. Now, if I'm saying the words wrong, again, I apologize. I want everybody to enjoy this video really for the look of the metro and the contrasting stations. You can see here, I think perhaps a reference to some of the workers from the machine plants that are in this nearby area. These are really very interesting pictures. I think they call them reliefs. Is that correct? I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I'm talking to you, the audience. I really like this look to the signage and how it points out which direction you're going to travel to the next or last stations. And we've just got 2 to go. to complete the whole 9 stations on the metro line. Again, just so unique, each station. Welcome to the second last station on this tour. This is called Uralmash. Now, it's not in reference to mashed potatoes, it's in reference to machine plants that were here in the area and still here, called the Ural machine plant. It's actually had quite a lot of different names over the years. And the station, again, single vaulted station, very well lit as well. And the actual name on the side of the station stretches all the way along. If you can see these different letters built into the side of the station wall. Uralmash. I think I want to live in a city with that name. It just sounds cool as well. And I would imagine most people catching the train to and from here live immediately in this area. And the machine plants that are nearby, dating back to the 1930s, were building different types of cranes, oil platforms, different types of machinery for mining. And during the Great Patriotic War, they switched over to producing weapons and guns, and even some different types of trucks and tanks. And now, of course, in peace times, they're using it for ongoing machinery manufacturing. Very neat station with this curved roof, and then the lighting as well, as everybody is very quiet. Again, this is early morning, so everybody's heading off to work and school and maybe somewhere else. I think everybody's off to work and school. There's not too many people like myself walking around with a camera. Very interesting station, and so well lit as well. It's interesting how it's like half lit and half not. Can you see that in the roof? At the steps to head out of the station, there is also a mural here, which I think is made out of metal, perhaps some kind of pressed metal. And it shows the workers that would have worked at the plant back when it first opened. And a lot of references are made at the different stations to the nearby area. And you can see them here forging perhaps a wheel, it looks like. And then you can see some trucks. And then the smokestacks of the factory. This is a really cool piece of art on the wall right here. One more station to go. And you can see now that we're heading to the last station. The train is quite a lot more empty, and a lot of people perhaps going to job or school in this part of the city versus everybody riding it back to the center. And that's very normal when you catch a train, even in Moscow, especially when you get to the last station, there's not so many people on it. And when you're in the middle stations, the trains are crowded. So we head on through the tunnel and get to our last station. We've reached our last station, and right as both trains leave at the same time, we let this one disappear on this side and the other one heading off back to the city, and the noise will quiet down a little. And this is Prospekt Kosmonavtov. I think I've got that wrong after trying to pronounce it about 10 times before I press record, and I still got it wrong. Even the lady waiting by the train with me said that I got it right, and when I go to say it, I get it wrong. And have a look at the different design here with these polished metal pylons on either side of the platform. And these interesting lamps here in the ceiling. Very neat. A little bit more moody with the lighting. There is such a difference between the different stations. You can see that in the feel when you walk through them and how bright or dim they are lit. And then have a look on the side panels here, again at the mosaic work of all of the different stone that they've got from the nearby regions and different mines where they've brought the stone from. Very cool. The reference to the station and the name, Prospekt Kosmonavtov, is in reference to spaceflight and the achievements of Russia, or back when it was the USSR, and the achievements of going into space. And these circular light fixtures are meant to look like rockets. Perhaps you can definitely see that looking up at them. Now this is the first station, or last station, and like way back at the beginning of the video, naturally it's more crowded as everybody's waiting to get on the train, because of course on this side it's the end of the line. These are really cool. Can you see the look of a tail end of a rocket? And I hope you can see that. I can definitely see it, if everyone else can't. I always wonder when everybody's waiting to catch the train, if they look around and enjoy the features of this particular station, because there's some very intricate stonework that's gone into the side panels and the different stone from different regions of the USSR. As the train arrives, and this will be pretty much full to the door because of the nature of the last and first station. It's always like this, even in Moscow, let alone here in a smaller city with a smaller population. And just like that, the platform clears. It always seems like there's enough room for everybody. Are we going to get a few people running? I think we are. Who are just going to make it in time. Maybe a couple of ladies waiting for the next train. A lot of people don't necessarily want to stand, so they'll want to wait for the next one, which won't be more than a few minutes behind anyway. As the train heads about its day and the platform clears and everybody starts waiting for the next train, let's get that sound again of it running off in the distance. And you can see now the scheme of the metro and the different stations again. One thing I'm not a big fan of is the advertising on the walls. Now I know it's necessary, and in Moscow they've tried to completely remove it and bring the stations back to an original look. However, here in Yekaterinburg, both on the platforms and on the trains themselves, they've got advertising stickers, and I think they look ugly personally. I'm not sure I'm too keen on wanting to buy a diamond ring while I'm waiting for the train, but I think it's just has to be a part of life, and they get revenue from this. But it does spoil the look of the station just a little bit. The actual different mosaics on the side walls of the platform are meant to look like space. And you can see some of the circles that look like different planets and moons. I hope that's noticeable from me pointing it out. And the different types of stone from different parts of USSR back in the 80s and 90s when they were building these stations. And one of the particular stones is from Ukraine, and it's called Labradorite. Now, I'm not sure if it references the dog, the Labrador, but Labradorite. Has anybody heard of that? Let me know in the comments. As I walk through the platform of this last station, and I hope everybody's enjoyed this video and seeing the different stations on the Yekaterinburg Metro line. Now, I have tried to make some of these in Moscow as well. Of course, there is hundreds of stations there, but this is only 9 stations and quite a lot easier to make this video here. And it's really a joy to come and ride at the metro in this city. I'm only here for a few days, so it's just certainly interesting to take in the different stations and the different feeling of each station as you ride the train to and from the city. So I'm going to get on this next train and head on home. It's really interesting how quick the trip back felt. I literally got on at that first station and I'm now back here at Botanicheskaya station where I started the video, and not quite as busy now. A lot of people are already perhaps at work and the station will be quiet now till the evening time. Super interesting to see the exit gates and how simple they are. These are really the old-fashioned ones if you compare them to the modern ones in Moscow with the sensors and the gates that open. Literally just pass through and head on out, and we'll be literally up at the street in a matter of seconds. And again, they've always got these very nice maps or placards telling you the names of nearby points of interest. And right here, and I'm only a 5-minute walk from here to my accommodation. I just realized I forgot to mention the price of riding the metro here in Yekaterinburg, and the price is 33 rubles per token or per ride. And there's actually a vending machine here where you can actually get tokens, which are really how the original metro was set up many years ago, where you put coins into the turnstile or gates. I think most people tend to use their card or bank card, which is what I did. However, 33 rubles is less than 50 cents in US currency, so very cheap to ride the public transport here in Russia. Come out on the street, we can see this rubble shopping center right in front of me. And if you want to see a video of that, you're either watching this before or after it's published on the channel. And I had to get myself one of the coins that you can use for the metro as a souvenir. I actually paid by bank card when I made my trip, and it's the same price. However, I've got myself a very cool souvenir to take home from riding the metro here in Yekaterinburg. And as I walk on off on my next trip and next video, I head on through the market right here. All the fruit and vegetables that you ever want in Russia, you can buy right by the metro station. And I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Just need to make sure I'm walking in the right direction. And I hope it was interesting to see the metro that's not in Moscow. And of course, a lot of people know quite well how famous the metro is in Moscow. However, there is metros in other cities in Russia, and we got to ride and see all the different stations, all 9 stations on the line. Beautiful weather today. It's still early in the morning though, and I've got a few minutes to get to meet my friend to go about our day together here and hopefully make some more content. I'm not too sure what our plan is. I left very early this morning, so yeah, post a comment, let me know what you think. Do you want to see more transport related content on the channel? Now, if you've reached the very end, you really are a metro train fan, or maybe like me, a transport geek that I've named myself. I think now, after making a few different videos and riding different forms of transport, really this city is super interesting for a lot of the ground transport as well. They've got a lot of the trolley buses here, and they've got the modern and the old forms of those buses, and they've got a tram network as well. And I think for anybody that loves transportation, this would be a city to come and spend a day or two in and enjoy riding some of the Russian, Soviet and USSR type of transport. Yeah. If you want to follow me on Telegram, the link is right here. You can check that out. And then if you want to see an old video on the channel, perhaps something else that you've not seen before, there's one going to be popping up right now. Check that out and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.